Buon pomeriggio, teachers! Benvenute e benvenuti al nostro incontro dedicato alla lettura in lingua inglese attraverso la nostra serie graduata Smart Readers. Scopriremo insieme ad Elisabeth i nuovi titoli della collana, come sono strutturati, come usarli in classe e anche, perché no, quali titoli consigliare per le letture estive. Vi anticipo che nel nostro nuovo portale www.celticpublishing.com, poi magari in chat vi scrivo il link diretto, oltre ai numerosi spunti didattici e contenuti e alle schede gratuite da scaricare, è possibile visionare i nostri libricini che sono divisi per livello, come diciamo da quadro comune di riferimento europeo. Prima di lasciare la parola a Elisabeth, vi do una comunicazione di servizio per quanto riguarda gli attestati di partecipazione. Riceverete un'email in cui ci sarà un questionario di gradimento, compilate il questionario di gradimento e in seguito, sempre tramite email, riceverete l'attestato. Bene, ora non mi resta che lasciare la parola ad Elisabeth, docente, formatrice e anche coautrice di diversi titoli della collana Smart Readers. Elisabeth, ci sei?
Yes, here I am. Hi. Hi, Elisa.
So, enjoy the webinar.
Thank you for the
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, hello, everyone. Hello, teachers. I see there are quite a few of you in the room with us. I'm Elizabeth, and I'm based in Numana, which is near Ancona on the Riviera del Conero. And I'd like to know where you are. Where are you following us from? Which part of the country? Can you tell me in the chat? Rimini, Florence. Wonderful. Rome, super. Siena, fantastic. That's just about my favorite city in Italy. Udine, Valdichiana, Tuscany, Vicenza, wonderful. Verona, Benevento. Lots of places I've been to as well with Celtic Publishing, of course. Isernia, Pavia. Wow, fantastic. Wonderful. Ivrea, I've been there too with Celtic. Avellino, wonderful. So north, south, east, west. Yeah. Ferrara, fantastic. Okay, super. Great. So, okay. Now, let's see. You know that the title of our presentation today is Smart Readers for Smart Learners. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, here we are. So, okay, there we are. So, Smart Readers for Smart Learners, as you can see. Now, I have a question for you, another one. So, do you use smart readers? Do you use graded readers in your classrooms? If you do, tell me your thoughts in the chat, please. Not yet. Okay. So, okay, so I wanted to know if you use graded readers in your classrooms, and because, you know, Celtic Publishing, we have a vast range of graded readers with a variety of titles and levels. And so if you go to the link that Elisa has just put in the chat, you can find the catalogue there of our graded readers. So no one has really answered. Only one person said not yet. So they're really new for you. Or is there anyone at all who uses them, who uses graded readers in their classrooms? And if you don't use them, why not? Can you answer that question? If you don't use them, why not? Any answers? Oh, well, not much going on in the chat. So, okay, so we'll just move on. So, okay, the question is then, in that case, oops, my slides are not moving.
Elizabeth, excuse me, sorry.
My slides are not
there's
moving.
a teacher, Giulia Antonini, in the domanda risposta. She says, I don't know how to use it.
Ah, okay. I didn't see that one. So,
Okay.
So you don't know how to use the graded readers. Well, we're going to give you some ideas in this workshop. So Simona says, I haven't already checked these kinds of books. I sometimes you'd get graded readers, but not from Celtic. That's Silvia Manca. Okay, maybe you don't know our graded readers. So today is an opportunity for you to get to know them. Someone says lack of time. More than one person says lack of time. So yes, I know a lot of you will use that as a reason, but I think it's really important to make time for using graded readers in your classroom. So let's see if we can move to the next slide. Yeah. It's not working. Okay, here we are. So why use graded readers? Well, you know you have your learners in your classrooms. For the majority of learners, of language learners that is, reading a book in English or indeed in any other language that is not their own language could be a very difficult task for your students. Because of course there are lots of words they don't know, lots of new words, and the level of language could be far too high for them. That's why we have graded readers, because graded readers have had the language level simplified to help second language learners read them with ease. Okay, the language is graded for vocabulary, level of vocabulary for their level, complexity of grammar structures, and also by the number of words. So each level has fewer words than the next level up, you know. The grammar structures are simpler in the lower levels, obviously. And they're created to suit all levels from beginners through to advanced levels of learners. So they're even good for you as teachers. Maybe you have B2 level, maybe B1, maybe C1. If you don't want to read an authentic text, you can choose graded readers for your level. I think they're really useful also for teachers. So if our learners start with graded readers, they won't have to stop and look up lots of words they don't know in the dictionary, because that is a very off-putting task. People are not so happy when they have to always look up words in the dictionary. It's better if we can understand most of the words in the text. Maybe they have to look up maybe three words, the students, that they don't know. And in all of the graded readers, there is usually a glossary anyway. They have to be easy to read for the students and enjoyable, okay? So, and research has shown that students who read in English improve in every area of language learning at a faster rate than students who don't read. Now, I work with all levels of students, and I use graded readers with all my students at all the different levels, from primary, lower secondary, high school, adults. I always use graded readers. I encourage them to read graded readers because they can have an enjoyable, easy read, not interrupted by looking up words in the dictionary. And as they improve, because they will improve, if you read, you improve. So as they improve, they move to a higher level. Graded readers can be a fantastic way to motivate your students and help make language learning even more enjoyable. Now, the students I have, that I've gotten them into the habit of reading with graded readers, they become very motivated and they always want to learn more. And their level of language really does improve, okay? So I decided, do you have any questions at this point? Anyone? No questions? No one wants to ask anything? Okay. So I decided to ask some of my colleagues and teacher friends all over the place, all over the world, for their thoughts on using graded readers. And I got a lot of responses, to be honest, but of course I could only share a few here with you. So here are some comments from my very good friend and colleague Romina from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And she says, I have used graded readers over the years for 3 different reasons. 1, they provide learners with the opportunity to read materials that have been simplified and adapted from authentic texts, making them accessible and readable. 2, they provide learners with a feeling of success. Since teachers select books that are appropriately graded, learners feel a sense of achievement as they progress through the levels. 3, they provide comprehensible input, which helps learners grasp the meaning of the text and learn new lexical resources and grammar structures. So for me here, the key word is success. As I said before, my students are used to reading graded readers. They are in this habit. They have the habit of reading graded readers. And I can assure you, they feel success when they've read a new graded reader and they've done some activities for comprehension or something. It's really amazing. You can really see their motivation rising and their enthusiasm for the English language as well. Now, here is a comment from a friend in Glasgow, Scotland, where I come from. Glasgow is my city. And this is Barbara. And Barbara says, reading graded readers gives our learners the chance to experience grammar in context, which they can then use in their own writing. Apart from exposing our learners to new vocabulary, graded readers can also stimulate the imagination and broaden their minds. So the key word here is context. It's really important for the students to see the grammar structures in context, in stories. This can help them to improve in their grammar and also to write better. I'm a real believer in activities from reading to writing activities. I really believe in them and I use them a lot with all my levels of learners. Even students of B2, C1 who have to do exams. From reading to writing, it's really important. And everything in context, as I said before. Context is the key word here. And this is another friend, Valentina, from Skopje, Macedonia. And Valentina says, I'm using graded readers as a part of the reading project to promote reading in English. I am an English teacher with 30 years experience. We started with books donated by British Council Macedonia. We have a small library with graded readers in our school library. I work in a school that is 100 years old in the village of Dračevo near Skopje, the capital of Macedonia. My students like reading more in English than in Macedonian due to the media. So the key word here is exposure. So not only students in Macedonia, but I've spoken to students from other countries like Albania, Romania, many other countries. And a lot of those students, I noticed, can speak Italian because they have had exposure from television, from media in general over the years. And a lot of them also obviously now with English. And those students, Valentina's students, like reading more in English than in their own language. So just imagine. And I have to say that I've experienced students who feel the same, Italian students who prefer reading in English than in their own language. And I've noticed that I've been here for many years in Italy. I've been here since 1984. I've been teaching since 1986. And I see a real change in students, a real progression in their language level, their language skills, because of all the exposure they get due to the media, to the internet. And it's amazing. And I'm an examiner too, and many more students are taking the exams, and they're doing really well, much better than a few years ago. Then last but, oh, sorry, I forgot. Valentina was very kind enough to send me a photograph of her bookshelves in her library. So very simple photograph of her bookshelves in her library in her school. So that was very nice of her. It's authentic. Okay. Now let's go on. So last but not least, we have another Valentina, closer to my home, because this is a teacher that I also work with, and she teaches in Castelfidardo, which is near Numana, not far from where I live. And Valentina says, I love assigning graded readings to my students because they are a tool with which to strengthen motivation in language learning. However, regarding the assignment of the book, I think it is fundamental to let the student choose among the titles of the correct level what he prefers, he or she. If we decide to assign a particular book, it is necessary to ensure that the student is interested in the topic proposed or is aware that each particular reader has a specific goal, such as a link to the next topic and also to other material, maybe that we're going to use in class. So the key word here is choice. Choice is very important when you want to promote reading in your classrooms with your students. It's really good if you have a choice of titles of that particular level that the students can choose from, something that they like. Because of course, if they're reading something they enjoy reading, it makes the task even better, even easier for them. And everyone is happier and more motivated to read. So those were the comments from my friends around the world. Now, let's look at the levels of our graded readers at Celtic Publishing. So we have levels 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, all A1 levels of the CEFR, the Common European Framework of Reference. And these first levels, 1, 2, and 3, you can find them on the graded readers for the primary school. And I'm going to show you them in a moment. And good news, levels 4 and 5 are the new levels for the new graded readers just published by Celtic Publishing for this lower secondary school. Okay, so here are some titles of the Celtic Publishing collection. Okay, so here we have Billy Bat and Freddie Fox, and Ailey and Hila Go to London, Prince Alexis, The Ugly Duckling, The Bremen Town Musicians, The Stone Soup, tiny little tales. Now, you probably know some of these titles if you've already used these graded readers. If not, I just want to say that one of my favourites is the Stone Soup. The Stone Soup is a classic tale, and it looks at the universal theme of sharing, promoting sharing, which is really important in our world today. The soup wins the hearts of the people in the village who participate in the recipe by adding the ingredients to the big pot. Now, I'm just going to show you the first few pages. Here they are. So this, you can find this obviously on Celtic Publishing in the section for the readers, in the catalogue. And you can click on each title and you can see, let's say, an anteprima of each book. So this is one for the Stone Soup. Now, just look at the beautiful cover. Look at that beautiful cover. And this is the boy, the main character in our story. And this is the village in the background and the people in the village. And they don't look very friendly, those people. So this is the story of Jim and the Stone Soup. Jim is a poor boy. He walks in the mountains. One day, Jim arrives in a village. He's tired and hungry. The villagers are not friendly. They say, "We haven't got any food for you." Jim says, "No problem. I can make my delicious stone soup." The villagers say, "Stone soup? It's disgusting." Anyway, so doesn't that make you want to go and read the Stone Soup? It's one of my favourite titles. Ailey and Ela is another favourite of mine. And let's say that's about two little girls, obviously, who go to London. And it's an exciting journey for them. And they are able to discover all the main attractions of London. And it's really nice. The children love that story, because also I've done other projects regarding London with the students, and I've used that story as well within the project. So, okay, next we have some other titles for primary school. Aesop's Fables, On the Beach, Two Princess Stories, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, Mary's Food Shop, and The Piccadilly Mystery. And obviously one of my favourites here is Aesop's Fables. So these Aesop's Fables here are retold in a very simple, repetitive language, which is really important for early readers. In these stories, each animal focuses on the qualities and the defects of the human species. And of course, each story ends with a moral lesson. And that's one of my favourites. And if we click here, we can just see an anteprima. There we are. Wonderful illustrations, as usual, in the Celtic Publishing material. The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse, one of my favourite stories. The town mouse lives in a big house on a busy street. A rich man and his family live there too. They often have dinner parties with lots of delicious food. At night, when the family are in bed, the town mouse comes out to eat the delicious food. Wow. One day, he decides to visit his cousin in the country. The country mouse lives quietly in a small, simple house. "Hello," says the country mouse. "Come into the kitchen and eat with me. I have cheese, bread, and apples. Simple food, but very good." Now, we'll leave it there, and you can continue to explore and look at all of these wonderful titles. You've noticed that there are some original stories and there are some classic stories. For example, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, to name but one. Now, here are some of the activities that you can find in Aesop's Fables. So, very simple, connected to the reading. And these are really nice activities to consolidate the language and help the children to remember the story and work on the language. And they also have, in Aesop's Fables, there are these two wonderful pages about endangered animals in Great Britain. So also very simple, simple quill, let's say. So wonderful illustrations as usual. And another activity from the stone soup. So here we're working with vocabulary here. Yeah. And then we're reading comprehension, choosing the correct, if it's correct or wrong statement. Yeah. And then look and read and write yes or no. Again, looking at the picture and understanding and answering. So simple activities for the students. And in the stone soup, because they talk a lot about food, mainly vegetables, here we have British vegetables, 2 pages, and that's very nice. So very simple language for the children, nice illustrations and easy activities, which are really good to consolidate what they've read. Now, I wanted to say that a good way to get, before you start using readers, you could use these lovely worksheets that we have in one of Celtic Publishing's, let's say, it's a very old publication, but it's old but great, yes? And it's called Quill Projects. And these pages come from Quill Projects too. And so this is a nice questionnaire that you could use with your students, just to get them, before reading, get them talking about reading and thinking about reading. Are you a good reader? Do you like reading? Etc., etc. And then another worksheet here. This is a story worksheet. Here there is a particular story that's in Quill Projects, but you could adapt this and fill in details from one of the stories you want to read with them. And then here in this section, for the number, the events, you take sections from the story you want to read. And you can use all the other parts indifferently. Doesn't matter what story you're working on. And here we have a story map. So after reading, the students could look at the story and create a story map from it so that they can understand very clearly how the story works. And another style of story map. And also, this is a good way also from reading again to writing. As I said, you could get the children to write their own very simple stories. So they could use their story map to organise setting, time, place, characters, problem, event 1, event 2, event 3, and resolution. So a good way from reading to writing, which is an activity I really recommend and I love. Okay, this is another one. Again, if you want them to write, this is great for writing a story after reading. And you could have a school illustration contest. Lots of your students are really great at drawing. So maybe they could draw the illustrations for an original story that they want to write. They could write in a group if you want them to do that, or individually. Maybe in a group it's more motivating for them. So these are just some ideas from Quill Projects too that you could use. So, okay, how can we use graded readers? In the classroom, graded readers can help learners build their confidence in reading, and they can make a useful addition to exposure of authentic reading text, even at a very low level. Activities with graded readers include imagining and creating the past lives of characters, dramatising key scenes, and writing letters to the author. There are 3 phases to remember when reading in language classrooms: pre-reading, while reading, and after reading phases. Each of them has its own important role. They're all necessary parts of a reading activity. We mustn't forget any of them. These phases have to be put in consideration in order to develop students' reading skills. Now, how can we use them in the primary classroom? With pre-reading activities, guess the story from the cover. We looked at the story of the Sown Soup. So you could do a brainstorming activity with the students to try to get them to guess what the story's about. Then show the cover to the class, elicit as much vocabulary as you can. So I mentioned the village, the people, a couple of adjectives. Students then guess the story and write and speak about. Sorry, there's a mistake here. Speak and write about the story and write short summaries of the imaginary plot that they imagine the story is going to be about. Maybe that's challenging, maybe in the 5th class. These could be kept until you've read the book to see which one was closest to the real story. So it's a pre-reading activity, but what's connected to also after reading to see who was closest. So post-reading activities, book reviews is the most obvious post-reading task. That's a book review. Get students to give the book a star rating from 1 to 5. So you can create a poster where the students they record their comments on this poster, or maybe just on a review page in their exercise books. And they can record their comments and how many star rates they give a certain book. Quiz time, students can work in teams to prepare questions about the book's plots and characters, and then they can have an inter-team quiz. So it's just a fun activity. Other activities, readers can be a starting point for hundreds of different types of project work. We don't have time today to speak about them. One of them could be lap books. They're a super idea after reading. Okay, if you don't know what lap books are, I'm sure you do, but anyway, if you don't, they are personalised 3D mind maps, tools for learning by doing, notebooks and textbooks, assessment tools, and wonderful visuals. Here I have a few lap books that we created in class with my students. So this was for the Ugly Duckling. After reading the Ugly Duckling, a group of students created this lap book. And they were in groups of 3 in that class. And they included the weather, they included animals, they included seasons as well, and a little bit about the feelings, the story, the feelings of the Ugly Duckling. And then he was happy when he became a swan. This was for the Sown Soup. So what do you need to have a friendly community? And these were, the ingredients in the soup were the various vegetables, but they also put in other ingredients like love, friendship, sharing, feelings of camaraderie, okay? And they put their stone in the shape of a heart. And inside this opens up, and inside there was Jim, the character in the story. And this one is for the Canterville Ghost. And obviously here there are lots of words connected to a house, which is very useful. So lap books are nice activities. Okay, so now we move to our new titles for the middle school, lower secondary school. So here we have the Friendship Lamp and the Selfish Giant. So the Friendship Lamp, that's an original story. And the Selfish Giant, of course, is a classic from Oscar Wilde. So let's look at a couple of pages of the friendship lamp. So, okay, here we can see, whoops, the characters. Steve, David, Mrs. Harding, and Chun. And some activities here. And the beginning of this story. So at school, it's 7 o'clock in the morning and Steve is still in bed. Time to get up, Steve. Breakfast's ready. You've got the school project today. Don't forget your sketchbook, says Mum. Steve gets up and thinks, I don't want to go to school. I want to stay at home. I wonder why. So now the selfish giant. Okay, so here we have the giant and the children and the little boy that we will meet in this story. And the very first part, the giant's garden. Every day after school, the children went to the giant's garden to play. It was a beautiful garden with soft green grass. There were lots of colourful flowers and 12 peach trees. In spring, the trees were covered with pink and white blossoms. Lovely. So, don't you just want to continue? I'm sure you do. Sorry. So, here are some of the other activities in those books. So, here we've got, obviously, also connected to the Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030. We have something here about Goal 15. So taking action for a better and sustainable life on land. By recycling and upcycling, we can improve our lives. So we're looking at the Sustainable Development Goals also in these books. And there's a little activity here, a reading text where you fill in the gaps with the given words. And clue, civics, watch out road safety. So a clue activity as well at the back of the book. So next that was at the back of our book, the friendship lamp, okay? And instead at the back of, whoops, gone too far. No, I want to go back. So at the back of The Selfish Giant, we have something, at the beginning, before reading, we have Oscar Wilde, a brief biography. And so the students can understand something about the author. And after reading, we have the culture focus, postcards from English gardens. So we've got something, someone has written a postcard. This could even be an email if they want to. And they've got a picture of Leeds Castle, some gardens, and a pond as well. So something about culture here. And again, for Goal 15, we've got protect and save life on Earth. And something about what we've read about recycling, about endangered animals, etc. So some nice activities connected to the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, as you see, we've included clue, which is always included in graded readers. So a framework from theory to practice. So graded readers can prove to be effective tools for children to develop these essential principles involved within a clue approach that include not only language and content, but also communication, cognition, and culture. So graded readers hence can contain the key 4 C's that make up any clue experience succeed, So, and that's from Dil Coyle, let's say the mother of clue. And more specifically, stories in general can provide a natural and meaningful learning context to learn about a particular content using specific language within a cloud perspective. So from a variety of authors. So they're very useful if you want to look at CLIL as well, do a CLIL project. And here we have level 5, and the 2 titles are A Case for Inspector Mackay and Around the World in 80 Days. So let's look a moment at Inspector Mackay. So here we are. Inspector Mackay takes off. Inspector Mackay is the head of the Criminal Investigation Department at Scotland Yard. According to his assistant...
Scusami Elisabeth, scusami, sono Elisa.
Sì.
Sì, scusami, non si vede il link, non si vedono le immagini.
Ah, solamente di questo o anche quell'altri?
Anche delle altre non si riusciva a vedere, però non c'è problema, qui c'è il link e si può cliccare, ci puoi spiegare cosa c'è eventualmente. Noi metteremo il link nella chat, va bene?
Okay. Oh, sorry. These links take you to Celtic Publishing, to a page where there's the catalogue of these readers, smart readers, and you can find these links under each title. So you're able to have, let's say, an anteprima of each of these titles. So sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't sharing with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to go out of my presentation and I'll show you. Okay, so sorry you didn't see before. This is the Friendship Lamp. And I did read this first section of the story. Can you see? I read this first section to you, the very first page of the story. So you can find at those links, you can find these readers and all the other pages I showed you. I also showed, what was it? Let's see. Oh, yes. Watch out road safety. So this was CLIL, a CLIL activity. And this one regarding the sustainable goals of the Agenda 2030. So you can find these wonderful pages in these readers at those links. You can have an anteprima at those links. Otherwise, you buy the readers and you will see them. So if I go back to my presentation, let's see.
Scusami Elisabeth, ho messo il link per il primo testo, A Case for Inspector Mackay, quindi possono andare nella chat ed aprirla direttamente anche loro.
Okay, perfect. So shall we do it again? Yeah?
Sì, perché no?
See, okay. So we'll do it again. So we open the link and we can see Inspector Mackay. Okay. So first we've got these before reading activities. Very nice. And then the characters, let's meet the characters. And then we start the story, part 1. Inspector Mackay takes off. So Inspector Mackay is the head of the Criminal Investigation Department at Scotland Yard. According to his assistants, he's a genius in his field and he can solve any case. Yesterday morning, very early, around 3 a.m., he was awoken by a call. Wow, what's happened? So that's very interesting detective story. So you can go to the catalogue and take a look, and you can continue with that link if you want to. The other one is Around the World in 80 Days, classic story. So let's look. So we've got, this is longer, Phileas Fogg meets Passepartout. So these are the 2 main characters in this story. And if we go back to, okay, as usual, let's meet the writer, let's meet the characters. So the children can get an insight into who Jules Verne was. And here we have an introduction to the characters in the story. Okay, so now let's move on. So the culture focus, this, can you see my page? Yeah. The culture focus here from the Inspector Mackay. No, this one. There we are. Culture focus, it focuses on London here, a tour of the places where the story takes place. So the story is set in London, in particular in Notting Hill. And here we have all the other locations in the story. And here we have something about Scotland Yard. So very interesting activities. And then a quill activity, really interesting, about fingerprints. And so the kids can learn something regarding fingerprints. And here we have some images that we have to match with these sentences. So we're working on the language comprehension. And from around the world in 80 days, another culture focus. And that's let's travel around the world in 80 days before leaving the physical setting of the book. And it shows us where we are in London at the beginning of the book, and then various places on the journey. So very interesting journey. So very good culture focus, very good for geography, etc. I'm looking at my time. So how can we use graded readers? As we've already said, well, I didn't actually because I forgot. We can use them obviously during the summer holidays. That would be a great way to motivate the students to read. So you could give them as summer holiday homework instead of, or as well as the usual summer holiday material that you give your students. So, but as I said, I always use them in my classes. I love using them in my classes. But I know, because you said about you don't think you have time, you could assign them for summer, which is good. It's okay. Maybe when, well, if the kids are, when they come back to school, obviously, if you're in primary class and you're giving them primary 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, just make sure that they've done what you've asked them to do, obviously. So you can check that out with them. So, however, as I've said, I love using them in class. So if you have access to class sets of readers, they can be an excellent teaching resource. The idea is that every student in the class has a copy of the same reader. So how students actually read the book depends on many factors, including their age, motivation levels, and class time available, obviously. So that you have to test that out. If you've never used them, you have to try and test them out. If you do find time to make the reading part of the class, there are many ways to go about it. So, pre-reading activities, as we've said before, guess the story from the cover, show the cover to the class and elicit as much vocabulary as you can. Students then guess the story and write and speak about and write short summaries of the imaginary plot. And these could be kept until you have read the book to see which ones are closest to the story, as we've said before. In class, you can, pre-reading, you can do jumbled chapter titles. So you give strips of paper with the chapter titles to the students in groups, and they decide the best order for the chapters and maybe think about the possible story. Compare the answers with the other groups and then look in the book to see who was the closest. So it's like another competition type, a game. Find out about the author, ask students what they know about the author, ask students to write some questions about the author that they would like to know the answers to. And then use the internet to search for the answers to the questions. And if you don't have access to the internet for your students, try to print off some information yourself and have it stuck around the room for the students to skim read and to try to find the answers. And as you've seen in the middle school readers, we have the pages about the authors in any case. So during reading, obviously enjoying the story, repeating the vocabulary for pronunciation to help your students with the pronunciation of words. A lot of repetition during the reading is good. And they could create comic strips, choose a suitable chapter or chapters that can be broken down into chunks to make a comic strip. This can also be done when you have finished reading the book. You can even do that after reading. Class libraries. If your school has a library or a collection of graded readers, you could bring a selection to the class. Students should choose their own book according to their personal preferences, as we heard our colleagues say. If you have a large selection of books and students are keen to read, why not start a reading club? Now, I have recently set up a reading project with an external class, and the library consists of a selection of readers, which I keep in an easy to carry box because I move around. Students have a bookmark each, and they have a reader's board where they write the titles of the books they've read, and they write their comments on each one. So, sorry, that was too fast. Here is the friendship lamp, which I showed you before, which is level 4, suitable, I would say, for the first year of lower secondary school. And yesterday, and this is true, I gave the readers this reader, the friendship lamp, to all the students in a 5th class in a school in Emilia-Romagna. And they were so thrilled, I have to say, and really motivated. And we started actually doing, we did the first activities together in class, and they were going to continue today with their teacher. And they're really looking forward to this, and they thought the story was really nice. And I go to this class sometimes. I'm sorry now that they're going to middle school, but anyway, I gave them the friendship lamp to help them to move on in their school life. And I hope it will help them, because it promotes friendship. It talks about bullying, which is a very negative thing, as you know. So encourage them not to bully and to be friends with everyone and help each other as well. So what are you waiting for? Be smart teachers and create smart learners with smart readers. Okay, so do you have any questions? Are there any questions, Elisa? Are there any questions in the chat box? So,
No.
No questions? I see some nice comments. Well, one
Esatto, esattamente.
Yes, there's a nice comment, Elizabeth, if you want to read it.
Yeah. Ailey and Dila go to London. It's a really nice way to discover London and to review some vocabulary, days of the week, food, means of transportation, and learn new words. Fantastic. Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, because as I said, there's a project I do in class, which is fun for kids in London. And actually it comes from Clo Projects, but I used it also last week with students in Castelfidardo in a middle school, actually. And it was great. And in a primary school, I've done it, and I've used this reader as well because of the topic of London. So really nice. Any other interesting comments or anything? No? What's about questions in the question box? Is there anything? How can children buy the books? Well, you can buy them on the Celtic Publishing website, or you can contact the Celtic Publishing distributors. So the person who asked that question, Simona Acanfora, where are you based, Simona? Can you tell me where you are based? In Occhiobello. So, Francesca, who are the distributors for Simona's area? Can you tell her?
Now I need to check, and then I'll write that to Simona, okay?
Oh, she knows
I'm going to check immediately.
Simona's
okay?
saying, she's just said she knows who they are.
Okay, great.
So you can contact them, Simona.
Okay.
And then if the children are interested, you can order the books from that particular distributor. Okay, good. Are there any possibilities to have some of the stories, such as Big Book? I had Frankenstein when I used Storyline, and it was really nice. Well, there are some of the titles are big books, I think, Francesca. Like, for example, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Is it a big book? Let's say, oh gosh, I'm forgetting my words today. So yeah, there is a big book for Journey to the Center of the Earth, and for the Bremen Town Musicians. And if I remember correctly, am I right, Francesca?
Yes, there are some books there related to Storyline and Frankenstein, the Bremen Town Musicians, and the Enormous Turnip, and well, actually I can't remember either.
Maybe A Midsummer Night's Dream as well.
You can check on the website on our publishing.com.
I think A Midsummer Night's Dream, Journey to the Center of the Earth, they're also in the format of the big book.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. So good. So okay. I'm so happy you like the materials. The Celtic publishing materials are really wonderful. The illustrations are fantastic, and the stories are great. And honestly, you can do so many things with these stories. You can create so many projects. I've been doing it, and with my classes, so I know. Any other comments or questions from anyone? No? So again, I invite you to don't hesitate, don't wait, be smart, and create smart learners with smart readers from Celtic Publishing. Okay, so thank you to everyone for coming along, and I hope this helps you in some way. The people who have never used graded readers, I hope it's of help to you. And sorry for my anxiety attacks today. I haven't done a webinar for a long time. So, and okay, thank you, Elizabeth. That was very interesting. Thank you to you, Elena. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I hope that everyone else has too. So, anything else happening anywhere? No?
No, thank you. Thank you to all teachers. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Bernardina. Thank you for coming. And I don't know if I've met some of you. I've been to many of the places that you come from. So maybe I've met some of you in person as well. And if I haven't, I hope to meet you one day. So carry on reading, please, and carry on promoting reading with your students. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.